So hi, good afternoon, Emma, and good afternoon, Jay. Thanks for giving us some time this afternoon. I'm going to crack right on and ask you the first question. So can you tell me a little bit about your business, who you are and what you do within your business?
Okay, so we're Jason and Emma Shone. We own Num6er, which is a bar on Northern Road in Sale. Been open for nearly 2 years now. And we're just kind of like a quaint, cool little bar where we want people to come and just enjoy themselves and, you know, enjoy the crowd, enjoy the drinks and have a nice evening.
Brilliant. Okay. So obviously the outbreak started, it's coming up to almost a month now. I don't need to ask you what the impact of that is because you're a bar. We got the instructions straight from the government. But just describe those first few days to me. What happened when you had to close Num6er the bar? How were those first few days?
The first few days, I think we were a bit bewildered. I think we've been waiting for the government announcement because it was such a tough decision for ourselves to make that decision to close. So I was glad when they eventually said, let's close these businesses. But the first few days were a bit bewildered. We're used to being so busy with the bar to go to having nothing to do all day. So we tried to come up with some ideas of how we could still stay on social media in our customers' minds, really. So we started to sell off our full stock, A, to clear the premises, and B, just to free up some cash flow for the staff and other bills that needed paying now that we weren't receiving any income. So we started with that. And then knowing our customer base, which we do, we have lots of social interaction with our customers on a regular basis. We knew that gin tasting would go down well, and we put a post out asking people what they thought of that idea, and it went boom. We got hundreds and hundreds of applications for tickets for the first weekend, but we decided to go small on the first weekend to ensure that we could deliver the right product, the right experience, just the same way we do in the bar, really. And it was a real 100% success rate. So we've put further dates on, and they've been a sellout each weekend since we've been adding them. In fact, we can't add enough dates, really.
No, we can't. And also we've had like people in Leeds, Skipton, you know, asking, can we deliver Northampton today? Somebody said, can you deliver the tonics and the gins to us?
Wow.
So,
because
you know, and that's more difficult to do it with the postal service at the moment and everything else. So
yeah, I think that's the power of social media there, isn't it? There's nothing to stop somebody in Northampton or anywhere else seeing your posts.
Definitely. We've seen our social media increase rapidly in the number of likes and followings that we're getting just since we've started doing those posts. And these are for local businesses, but also further afield businesses who are clearly monitoring our pages to see A, how we're doing, and B, whether or not that's successful maybe for them to, you know, to imitate that somewhere else in the country. So that we're quite proud of that, really, that people are following that.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously, that's where I've caught hold of this idea from what you guys are doing as well through social media. And I think you should be proud. I'll tell you the bit I really love about what you've just said. It's the part where you said, we asked our customers. Because you don't often hear businesses say, we asked our customers. Businesses always tell customers what they want and then provide it for them. But you were there. One day you had to lock the door and go home, and you knew you wouldn't be opening the next day. Fast forward however many days it took, and suddenly you've taken your business, you've repositioned it, you've asked your customers what they want, and they've responded to you. They've responded to you massively, it would seem.
Yeah, they've done that since day one when we opened the doors. Our purpose when we opened the bar was always for it to be a customer-focused business, not the other way around. And I think that's why we're so successful. All the sort of events that we run, we asked our customers what they want from those experiences, and from that feedback we design those products around them, and the feedback we get is always so positive that customers feel that it is designed around them, and that our focus is always the customer and that experience as opposed to any profit making from us. And I don't think we'd ever change that. I think that's how businesses can evolve. That's how businesses get the likes from customers and retain those customers, because it was always easy to get somebody through the door the first time. It was getting them to come back a second time that was going to be the issue. And we have got a real large community of regular customers who we've gotten to know really well and who advise us where we might need to tweak, but generally we always tend to get it spot on, really.
We do, and it's giving them the kind of, not just a night out, but like that intimacy. That's why I always say, and I say that to my staff, you know, whoever, regardless, we could have 80 to 100 people in that bar at any one point. but you're treating that person who comes to the bar like, you know, you're their private kind of bartender for the evening.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think that shows in the reviews we get and the positive feedback we get from customers.
Well, I've been in, Jay, a few times, as you know, and I know exactly what you're talking about. You made to feel like an important customer, and I think that's, from what I'm picking up from you guys in conversations which we've already had, I know this is pretty much an ethos for you guys. So it's that strong thing that's allowed you to make this adjustment, hasn't it? No, you're not steered by some idea of what it should be like and how it should be. You're ready to change. You're ready to listen. And the ethos has always been create the service first, and then however we need to do that. And I think that's probably the real key to how you've adapted so quickly. Because I think over the next few weeks or months, whatever it might, we'll start to see more of this. But again, what I love about you guys at Num6er is that you're leading the way on this. You've not waited there's no me too about this. You've not waited to see what the bar across the road's doing first. Yeah. You've led the way and you've made your own decisions. So let me just ask you another question. What lessons do you think you've learned in a very short period of time, which you might be able to carry on, when we come back to whatever normal will turn out to be? What lessons have you learned that might be long-term lessons that you can carry forward?
I think still customer focus is just a huge thing. And also you've got to be able to adapt and not sit still. And even if the bar was still open, we'd be trying different things week after week, Right. Sometimes they don't work. But if you stay stagnant and you don't keep thinking about what can we be doing tomorrow, you're going to get left behind.
Yeah.
Even a bar it evolves so quick, and it is ever changing. Business is ever changing. And now with this virtual gin tasting, people are still saying to us, even when you reopen, still do it. Yeah. I've got me sister's birthday. She would love this, private kind of gin tastings as well. So I think for me that they're the two things that I think I've got from this.
Yeah, you've got to constantly evolve. You can't just sit and say, right, this is working, so we don't need to adapt. We don't need to continue to evolve. Even when the bar was open each week, we would have strategy meetings of, right, how are we going to work this week? It's exhausting doing it that way, but I think that's how a business can thrive and grow, by that constant innovative ideas. Some might not work, but majority of the time they do work, and it shows to your customer that you're changing every week, so they feel like it's a different night out each week because it changes. And even the virtual gin tastings, they're not the same every week. It's not the same script each week. It's different each week because we've got returning customers that have been on every single virtual gin tasting. So for them, it has got to be different. Otherwise, it becomes boring, monotonous. So again, I just think we try really hard to engage, and I think we get that feedback to show. And I think that's one thing that we've learned, and we'll continue to do that going forward.
Yeah, it's brilliant. And that's the feeling I get both when I've been in the bar, when I see your social media post, there is a real feeling of that. So let me just ask you two guys, if you had any hints, tips or ideas, somebody else, I'm not saying how do they set up a virtual gin tasting night, that might be far away from what they are, but if they're in a position now and they're struggling with their business, they've found it difficult to adapt, or they're really struggling to see what they might make what differences they might make in their business, what hints or tips would you give them on how their mindset or how their attitude might just be able to do something along the lines of what you've done and flip things around?
Yeah, for me, I think you've got to kind of take it back to the beginning of why you set up that business, and then imagine that you're doing it now in this situation, this current situation, and then think to yourself, right, well, how would we start? Where would we go?
Right.
Sit down, a bit of brainstorming, and I know that sounds like a buzzword, but it does help if you sit down, and that's what we did. We sat down and we, at first the idea of doing this, I was a little bit reluctant because I was just, it's not going to be the same experience. Yeah. But you've got to know that it's not going to be the same experience. Whatever you sell, it might be different selling it in lockdown or servicing somebody in lockdown. But if you can just go in with that mindset of, this is the beginning really, and just, I think that'll take you a long way.
And even now, this is going to go on for a few weeks. Those businesses could still start to try and know their customer, reach out on social media to those customers and say, what can we do for you in these times? Is there something that we can deliver to you? We've seen so many businesses adapting, even like local salons selling products, doing tutorials online for people. And sometimes it isn't just about the monetary value, it's about those people remembering your business when we come out of this situation, so that they'll go back to you and spend. Social media at the moment can, like you said before, Steve, be so negative and so depressing. However, some of these online businesses now are doing these tutorials, videos, something positive to watch, something different to watch, something to engage with. It increases your social media following. So like I say, even though it might not make you any financial money, you're doing better for your business. You're getting your name out there. You're getting people sharing those posts. So anything you can do, don't just feel because you've shut your shop front, you have to physically shut everything else as well. Social media is one of the cheapest free tools you can use. We have done these virtual gin tastings and we've not spent 1 penny on Facebook to sell those tickets, and we're at 1,000 tickets now. So it shows you that you don't need to spend money to recuperate money or to enhance your business.
Yeah. It's a question of how resourceful you are, isn't it? And how innovative. And people react at different speeds.
Yeah, even if you yourself as a business, why don't start working with other businesses? Obviously, we've got that Corona business thread on Facebook. Join into those businesses. You don't need to sort of sit back and think, I can't join in these conversations. You can talk to each other. Other businesses may have that light bulb moment for you where you think, oh, I never even thought I could do this. You know, use other people's skill set. Don't just rely on your own within your own four walls. Reach out to people and ask them, what do you think of this idea? Do you think this would work? What else could we do?
Good advice. Yeah, especially at times like this. We've seen a great sense of community everywhere, but especially in the business community we've seen. And I know what you're talking about. We're linked on various groups and whatever, so I know exactly what you're talking about. Well, listen, Jay and Emma, thank you. What I'm hoping is, I think as I explained to you, I'm wanting to use footage like this and talking to people like you as a positivity driver for other people to say, look, it can be done. You've just got to have the right mindset, as you were talking about, Jay. So I want to thank you both for your time this afternoon. I know you're busy. You'll be preparing the next virtual gin session. I know you're busy. Thanks for taking the time. Just before we go, I'm going to ask you one last question. If anybody's listening to this and fancies getting involved in one of your virtual gin evenings, what do they need to do? How do they need to get in touch with you?
Just message the page and we'll be in touch with the dates that we've got available.
Yeah. Tell us the page.
It is the Num6er Facebook page, which is Num6er.
Jay, Emma, thank you very much. Brilliant. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Bye.
See you soon.
Bye.
Bye.